Welcome to Vantage Aditya. Have you ever noticed that people often support your dreams when they are small, but become uncomfortable when those dreams begin turning into reality? Have you ever wondered why some people cheer for your potential, but become strangely silent when you start making real progress? Have you ever felt that the moment you began improving your life, learning new skills, earning more money, building a business, or gaining recognition, resistance suddenly appeared from unexpected places? If you have experienced this, you are not alone. There is a fascinating psychological phenomenon that explains much of this behavior. It is commonly known as crab mentality. The idea comes from a simple observation. When crabs are placed inside a bucket, a single crab may attempt to climb out. However, before it escapes, other crabs pull it back down. As a result, the bucket does not need a lid because the crabs prevent one another from leaving. Whether this behavior is scientifically perfect or simply a metaphor is not the important part. What matters is what it represents. In human society, people often encounter a similar pattern. When someone begins to rise, others sometimes attempt to pull them back toward the level they are comfortable with. What makes this phenomenon so interesting is that it is rarely driven by evil intentions. Most people do not consciously decide to sabotage others. In many cases, they are responding to fears, insecurities, and psychological pressures they do not even fully understand themselves. Today, we are going to explore the psychology behind crab mentality. We will uncover why it exists, why it appears in families, workplaces, friendships, and communities, and most importantly, how to escape it without becoming angry, bitter, or disconnected from the world around you. Stay with me until the end, because the final lesson may completely change the way you interpret criticism and resistance for the rest of your life. The first misunderstanding about crab mentality. The biggest misunderstanding about crab mentality is the belief that it is simply about jealousy. While jealousy certainly plays a role, the deeper explanation is often fear. Most people are not trying to destroy someone else's success. Instead, they are trying to protect their own understanding of reality. Human beings build mental models about how life works. These beliefs help create a sense of stability and predictability. People tell themselves stories such as success requires luck, wealthy people are different, entrepreneurship is too risky, or extraordinary achievements are only possible for a select few. The problem arises when someone close to them proves otherwise. When a friend builds a successful business, when a colleague earns a major promotion, or when a family member achieves something that everyone thought was impossible, it creates discomfort. Suddenly, old assumptions begin to crack. People are forced to confront a difficult possibility. Perhaps the limitations they believed were permanent were never as absolute as they imagined. This realization can be inspiring. However, it can also be deeply uncomfortable. That discomfort often becomes the foundation of crab mentality. Why human beings compare themselves to others. To understand crab mentality, we must first understand a powerful psychological concept known as social comparison theory. Human beings naturally compare themselves to others. This tendency appears throughout life. Students compare grades. Professionals compare salaries. Entrepreneurs compare businesses. Athletes compare performance. Content creators compare views, subscribers, and engagement. The human brain constantly seeks reference points to evaluate progress. This process is not necessarily bad. In fact, comparison can provide valuable information and motivation. However, comparison becomes dangerous when another person's success feels like a personal judgment. Imagine two individuals who start from similar circumstances. They attend the same school, work similar jobs, and possess comparable opportunities. Years later, one of them achieves remarkable success. The success itself is not the problem. The problem is what that success represents. It forces the other person to ask difficult questions about choices, effort, priorities, and missed opportunities. For some people, these questions create motivation. For others, they create resentment. The same event can produce entirely different reactions depending on a person's mindset. Why nearby success feels more threatening. One of the strangest aspects of human psychology is that distant success often feels less threatening than nearby success. Most people admire successful athletes, celebrities, and billionaires. They may even feel inspired by them. However, when a former classmate becomes successful, the reaction is often different. Why? Because proximity changes everything. A billionaire on another continent feels distant and abstract. People can easily convince themselves that the billionaire's circumstances were completely different. However, when someone who started from a similar position achieves extraordinary results, those explanations become harder to maintain. The success feels personal. It becomes evidence that greater achievement was possible. And evidence can be uncomfortable. In many ways, successful people become mirrors. They reflect possibilities that others may have ignored, postponed, or abandoned. Not everyone enjoys what those mirrors reveal. The hidden role of cognitive dissonance. Psychologists use the term cognitive dissonance to describe the discomfort that occurs when reality conflicts with existing beliefs. Imagine someone who believes that building a successful business is nearly impossible. Then a close friend starts a business and succeeds. Reality now conflicts with belief. The individual has two options. The first option is to update the belief. The second option is to reject, criticize, or diminish the evidence. Unfortunately, changing beliefs requires effort and humility. It is often easier to dismiss the success. This is why successful people frequently hear statements such as, "You were lucky," "You got fortunate," "You were in the right place at the right time," "That won't last." These comments may appear harmless, but they often serve a psychological purpose. They help preserve an existing worldview. By explaining away someone else's success, a person protects their own beliefs from being challenged. The scarcity mindset trap. Another major cause of crab mentality is scarcity thinking. A scarcity mindset assumes that life is a competition for limited resources. If someone else succeeds, there is less success available for me. If someone else gets promoted, my opportunities decrease. If someone else gains recognition, I lose importance. This way of thinking is surprisingly common. However, it is often inaccurate. Many opportunities in life are not fixed resources. Knowledge can grow. Markets can expand. Relationships can multiply. Value can be created. The most successful people frequently operate from an abundance mindset rather than a scarcity mindset. They understand that another person's success does not automatically reduce their own potential. In fact, surrounding yourself with successful people often increases your opportunities. Unfortunately, scarcity thinking convinces people that another person's progress is a threat rather than a possibility. That belief fuels crab mentality. The workplace example. One of the most common places where crab mentality appears is the workplace. Imagine an employee who continuously learns new skills, accepts difficult projects, and consistently improves performance. Over time, that employee receives a promotion. Instead of celebrating the achievement, some colleagues begin questioning it. They claim the promotion was political. They suggest favoritism was involved. They focus on every mistake while ignoring every accomplishment. What is happening here? In many cases, the promotion disrupts an existing social hierarchy. People become comfortable with familiar structures. When someone rises, the structure changes. The change creates uncertainty. That uncertainty creates discomfort. And discomfort often manifests as criticism. The irony is that the promoted employee may have simply worked harder, learned faster, or taken greater responsibility. Yet the story many people tell themselves is often very different. The family paradox. Perhaps the most difficult form of crab mentality occurs within families. This is difficult because the people involved often genuinely care. A young professional decides to leave a stable job and pursue entrepreneurship. Family members become concerned. Someone decides to move to a different city to pursue a bigger opportunity. Family members express doubt. Someone wants to create content online, write a book, or launch a startup. The response becomes cautious and skeptical. Sometimes these concerns are valid. Sometimes they protect people from making poor decisions. However, there are also situations where the advice reflects fear rather than wisdom. The person offering advice may be describing the limits of their own comfort zone, rather than the limits of reality. This is why understanding the source of advice is so important. Wise advice expands awareness. Fear-based advice shrinks possibility. Learning to distinguish between the two is one of life's most valuable skills. History repeats the same pattern. Throughout history, people who challenged conventional thinking were often ridiculed before they were respected. New ideas make people uncomfortable. Innovation disrupts certainty. Progress challenges assumptions. When someone introduces a new way of thinking, many people instinctively resist. This pattern repeats across industries, cultures, and generations. Inventors faced skepticism. Entrepreneurs faced rejection. Writers received criticism. Artists encountered doubt. Scientists were dismissed. Yet many of these individuals eventually changed the world. Society often celebrates success after it becomes obvious. Supporting someone before success becomes obvious requires vision. And vision is much rarer than hindsight. The most dangerous form of crab mentality. Up to this point, we have discussed external sources of crab mentality. However, the most dangerous version is internal. Many people spend years pulling themselves down. They dream about creating something meaningful, but convince themselves they are not ready. They want to pursue an opportunity, but assume they are not qualified. They want to take action, but become trapped by fear of failure. Every time ambition appears, self-doubt pulls it back down. Every time confidence grows, fear attacks it. Every time opportunity arrives, insecurity finds a reason to avoid it. In these moments, the mind becomes its own bucket. This internal battle can be more destructive than any external critic because it follows us everywhere. Escaping crab mentality therefore requires more than changing our environment. It requires changing our relationship with ourselves. How successful people escape crab mentality. The first step is recognizing that resistance does not always mean you are moving in the wrong direction. In many cases, resistance appears because you are moving. People rarely criticize those who remain completely still. Growth attracts attention. Change attracts reactions. Progress attracts opinions. The second step is developing internal validation. When self-worth depends entirely on approval, criticism becomes devastating. However, when confidence comes from purpose, values, and consistent action, criticism loses much of its power. The third step is choosing environments carefully. Human beings are influenced by the people around them more than they realize. If you spend enough time around negativity, your ambitions begin to shrink. If you spend enough time around optimistic and growth-oriented people, your thinking expands. The fourth step is learning the difference between constructive criticism and projection. Constructive criticism helps you improve. Projection reveals another person's fears. Both may sound similar, but they are fundamentally different. The ability to distinguish between them can save years of unnecessary doubt. Finally, successful people focus on execution rather than approval. They understand that results speak more loudly than arguments. Instead of spending energy convincing everyone, they invest energy in building, learning, creating, and improving. The opposite of crab mentality. The opposite of crab mentality is not isolation. The opposite of crab mentality is elevation. Great leaders elevate others. Great mentors elevate others. Great teachers elevate others. Great entrepreneurs create opportunities for others. They understand a simple truth. Helping another person rise does not force you to fall. Success is not diminished by sharing knowledge. Opportunity is not diminished by encouraging growth. Respect is not diminished by celebrating someone else's achievements. People who operate from abundance understand that lifting others often creates stronger networks, stronger relationships, and greater opportunities for everyone involved. The most respected individuals are rarely those who climbed alone. They are the ones who helped others climb as well. Final lesson. As we conclude, return to the image that started this discussion. A bucket filled with crabs. One attempts to climb. Others pull it back down. Most people focus on those doing the pulling. However, there is a more important lesson hidden within the story. The bucket was never locked. the path upward always existed. The real challenge was continuing to climb despite resistance. Life will always contain critics. Life will always contain doubters. Life will always contain people who project their fears onto your ambitions. You cannot control that. What you can control is your response. You can choose whether to absorb their limitations or pursue your possibilities. You can choose whether to shrink your dreams or strengthen your determination. You can choose whether to remain in the bucket or continue climbing. Every meaningful achievement in history began with someone who refused to let resistance become destiny. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. The goal is not to hate the crabs. The goal is not to fight every critic. The goal is not to prove everyone wrong. The goal is simply to keep climbing. Thank you for watching Vantage Aditya. If this video challenged the way you think about success, psychology, and human behavior, share it with someone who needs this message today. And remember, the bucket may be crowded, the climb may be difficult, but the path upward is always there for those who refuse to stop climbing. Subscribe to Vantage Aditya for more insights on leadership, psychology, success, and the hidden principles that shape extraordinary lives.